Hi guys, thanks for tuning in. Today I want to run through a real life example of a positive geared investment property that my wife and I have just purchased. Today I'm standing down in front of a unit complex down here in Manoora where me and my wife have just purchased. I want to run through the reasons why we purchased this property, as well as run over the numbers of what the returns will be, so you can see a little bit of an insight as to what I look for personally when buying an investment property. I'm going to go jump into my car, as it is pretty windy and I want to make sure the audio is nice and crisp for you guys. At any given time, there's literally thousands of properties available for purchase across Australia, and even there's a thousand or so properties available for purchasing Cairns. So I want to run through why we actually bought the property I was just standing in front of, and the numbers behind why I think it makes such a great investment. First and foremost, the reason we bought this property is that it is substantially positively geared. So that is, the property's not actually going to cost us any money per week to hold on to and pay off over a 30-year loan. This is important. I think buying an asset that costs you money each week, that each week you have to contribute money to maintain the property, to pay for the rates, to pay off the mortgage, it's just not very appealing. Where if you can buy a property that pays itself off and makes you money in the process, well, I see that as a really strong investment. The second reason we bought this property in particular is we were able to pick it up at quite a discount from the current market prices. So this property, we were actually able to pick it up about 10% below market value. Obviously that's not that easy to do, but keeping your eye on the market, knowing the market intimately, you will be able to pick up on when properties do come to market well below market price. And essentially, if you buy them at a discount, you're buying them with a bit of a safety net there. If the market was to drop further, we've got that safety margin where we're still in positive equity. Also, by buying it at below market value, if we do need to turn around and sell it quickly, we are able to put it on the market very competitively and sell it without actually taking a loss. The third reason why we really liked this complex and why we ended up buying this apartment was the body corporate is very well managed. It's got quite an active body corporate committee. Body corporate fees are reasonable, and the body corporate is continually maintaining the complex and upgrading it into the future. For example, they're currently going through and changing all the shutters over. So the weather shutters were all a timber shutter. They're changing it to an aluminium shutter, which will increase the appeal of the complex and keep the quality of the complex into the future. It won't be a deteriorating asset as it is well maintained. The fourth and final reason why this property was really appealing to us is it's a great rental property in the fact that it always has high occupancy rates. And this is due to a number of reasons. Firstly, it's located only about 10 minutes out of the Cairns city, and it also has 2 bathrooms. The second bathroom really makes a big difference, is rather than just appealing to single people for rentals, we will get people sharing that property, and you will get 2 couples or 2 individuals sharing the property. They've each got their own bathroom, and this really adds to the premium of the rental prices. So that's the 4 reasons why we really liked this property. It's positively geared, we're able to pick it up at a discount, it's got a very well managed body corporate, and the 4th reason being it's a very good rental property in the fact of its location, and the layout and setup of the property. So I've just ducked inside. I just wanted to run through the numbers on this deal, and explain why I'd see it as a really good positive cash flow investment. And give you a bit of an insight of how I break the numbers down to arrive at if something is actually positive cash flow or if it's actually going to cost us money out of pocket each week. First of all, we ended up buying this property for $175,000. We ended up using the equity in another property as collateral for the purchase. So we didn't actually end up putting a deposit on the property. We ended up borrowing the full $175,000. Plus we had to chip in about $5,000 of our own cash to cover stamp duty, legal fees, yada yada yada. Worked out to be about $5,000 covered off on those things. So in essence, though, we borrowed $175,000 for this purchase. And as a bit of a guide, units in this complex are renting for about $325 per week. And as I mentioned, very strong rentals in here. and we are seeing that rental price actually increase at the moment. So to break down the numbers for you, this complex has body corporate fees of $3,631 per annum. Council rates, we're looking at about $2,500. Landlord insurance costs you about $330 a year and covers you for loss of rent, tenant damage, also covers you for public liability. And then the Cairns Council, with your rates, you pay water access, and then you have to pay for excess water charges. So the water charges are going to be about $160 a year for the complex. So in total, those fixed outgoings that are related to the property add up to $6,621 per annum. Or to bring it back to a weekly basis will cost us $127 per week. So that's sort of all our fixed costs that don't take into consideration the mortgage. The mortgage, we've actually taken out a 30-year principal and interest loan on this. Now, the reason we've opted for a principal and interest versus just an interest-only loan mainly is I want to forcibly pay that property down over a period of time. I don't want that loan remaining the same forever. I think, as much as I'd like to think I'm a little bit self-disciplined, I still want to make sure that we're paying down that loan. For tax reasons, it probably would be better paying our home first. But like I say, I want to forcibly pay that down, so eventually we will own that property without a loan attached to it. So if we stick to the 30-year loan, we don't refinance anytime into the future, that property will be paid off in 30 years. So on that 30-year loan, our repayments are $191. So this takes in the principal and the interest. So adding together the fixed costs of body corporate rates, yada, 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 that was $127 a week. And then looking at our repayments of $191, in total the property is going to cost us $318 a week to hold on to. The property, as I said, in this complex, properties are renting for around that $325 per week. So that gives us a $7 profit per week on this property and on this purchase. Now, this seems like a lot of effort to go to make a measly $7 per week. It really doesn't seem worthwhile. But fortunately, that isn't the full picture. Of that $191 per week principal and interest repayment we're paying back, for the first year, the interest component of that is about $135 per week. So in the first year, once you actually take off the interest part of it, we're actually paying about $56 a week off the actual principal of the loan. So we're paying down the loan by $56 a week with our principal and interest repayments, plus making that $7 profit. So we're actually making a net profit on that property of $63 per week. So that's starting to look a bit more appealing. You're looking at about $3,000 per annum profit in the whole deal there, which is starting to stack up to something that is quite sizable. So that's in the first year. Obviously, each year we're paying down that loan. Our interest part of that principal and interest repayment will get less, and we'll be paying off more principal. As a bit of a guide, in 10 years' time, as we pay down that loan, the loan will be sitting at about $135,000. So in 10 years, we'll pay $40,000 off the loan without actually having to put a dollar into it ourselves. This will bring down the interest repayments to $105 per week, which obviously starts to increase that net profit that we're looking at. The other thing to take into consideration, and where this gets really exciting, is that the rental prices aren't fixed. At the moment in Cairns, rental prices are trending upwards, and I can't see this changing. There's not a lot of new supply coming to market. There's not a lot of new buildings being built, especially at this price point. I can see rents continuing to increase into the future at a modest 3%. So if the rental prices continue to go up by 3% a year, within 10 years' time, that unit that is currently renting for $325 per week will be renting for $437 per week. So in 10 years' time, we're going to bring down our interest component of what we're paying off the loan, plus our rental income is increasing, which essentially, if we fast forward 10 years' time on this deal, we'll end up making about $200 net per week, or just over $10,000 per year. So this is when this deal really starts to come to life and really look like an appealing investment. So there you have it, guys. That's the numbers that I run through when I am looking at a deal and deciding on whether it is going to be cash flow positive or if it's going to cost us money each week. Cairns has some great opportunities at the moment. I think this isn't a one-off deal. These deals do pop up. It just takes a bit of due diligence to find them and find something that is actually going to generate cash flow that you can pay off over 30 years and not actually have to contribute to that loan or to that weekly cost at all. So that's really what I'm looking for when I'm looking for investments. I want that strong cash flow position. I don't really see the point of owning an asset that each week I have to contribute and pay money to myself. I want to be able to set that deal up, have it on autopilot and pay off that deal. One other thing that I didn't mention during these costings is property management fees. Obviously I'm a real estate agent. I work for a really great office here in Cairns. We obviously get quite a good deal on property management, so that's not really a consideration for us. But it's something you would need to take into account when doing your figures as to what those property management fees might be for your property. As always, if you are looking to buy or sell in Cairns or even anywhere else in Australia or even the world, I'd love to look at your deals. Feel free to shoot me a private message, and I'd love to give you my thoughts on the deal and if it's worth proceeding on. So thanks for tuning in. If you do enjoy these videos, make sure you hit the subscribe button, give me a thumbs up. It really helps me get out to more people and make doing these videos more worthwhile. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and have a great week.